this is Sonia from bestselling author Diary of a Sick Chick. Year 2 is out right now, so go to Amazon.com and download it right away. It's $1.99 for a limited time only. What I want to talk to you guys today is about how doctors that are not treating patients and they're not listening to their patients. Just to give you a quick update on my life, I was recently hospitalized February 14th on Valentine's Day for another lupus flare, sores, loss of hair, severe pain, and I got accepted for Indiana Medicaid, so I do have insurance now. That's another wonderful thing and something I don't have to worry about. I was doing like a lot of Americans are doing now that don't have access to insurance and they need medications, and they're splitting their pills in half or not even taking their doses at all, which does absolutely nothing to curb the tide of disease. And one more thing, in 2 weeks, I'll be down in Indianapolis on March 16th running for Miss Wheelchair Indiana, so hopefully I do well there. My platform, I'm speaking out about pain medication and how chronic pain patients are having a hard time getting the medications that they need because we're all looped into this same group of people who abuse medications. And when I went into the hospital on Valentine's Day, it was quite an experience. I feel like I was in the twilight zone. I was admitted that evening, and the rheumatologist that I normally see came into my room, and he looked very disgusted with me, and he began to shout and yell and scream and act in an inappropriate way. And the doctor that I had I won't use his name, but he basically walked into my room and made a comment and was like, "Oh, so you had a hard time here before. The last time you were admitted was back in November." And I was like, "Well, yeah." He was like, "So what did you come back for?" And he was like, "Well, I told him that I was in pain. He refused to treat my pain, and they were doing that thing that they normally do. One would place the thing on another doctor and another doctor, and my attending was like, 'Oh, ask your rheumatologist,' and the rheumatologist was like, 'Oh, ask the neurologist.' But what he was doing was going to these doctors behind my back and telling them, 'Oh, she doesn't need her medications.' And I take painkillers that are prescribed to me on a regular basis. And he refused to give me, my medication. This is my morphine immediate release, and this is MS Cotton. And this is 60 milligrams. It's a time release pill. It's for patients that are in extreme pain. I take this little pill. And it also helps me not rely so much on the morphine immediate release. So he refused to give me my prescribed medications, which I was incensed that a doctor could act in such a way. I kept telling him I was in pain because you guys know I have trigeminal neuralgia, and that started to act up, and it's gotten very bad, like worse than before. Refused to treat me for breakthrough pain. Just wouldn't give me anything but ibuprofen, which is what I have at home. When I can't control my trigeminal neuralgia with the medication that I have at home, that's when I go into the emergency room. Left me in serious pain. I do have pictures of my face being swollen, and they even took an MRI and saw that I had a swollen knee and still refused to treat that. And it was just like, what's going on? I understand that many doctors are not treated. They don't know anything about pain management. All they know is what they hear in the headlines of how patients are, mistreating painkillers and how so many of them are dying and they're going home, just like here. The New York Times has an article here about how New York has restricted pain medications to people that you can't even get a prescription for more than 3 days of Vicodin. And they're not even prescribing methadone and fentanyl anymore. And here's another gem from the New York Times. It's an opinion op-ed about how they're making painkillers harder to get. And yes, this country does have a severe drug problem. This country does have a severe problem with prescription medications. But these are Stephanie and Arthur here. To say that everybody and lump everybody in the same division and make us all like, okay, we all have to suffer. Like, what do people do when they are faced with intractable chronic pain, severe pain? I mean, can you imagine breaking your foot or doing anything and being sent right back out into the street? And I'm not condoning anything, but I'm not saying it's right, but I understand how people do get addicted to alcohol. They do go out there and get addicted to illegal drugs like heroin. And because they need pain relief and they're not getting access to the medications that they do need. And a lot of doctors will only treat cancer patients, which is fine, but they don't understand that you have people with sickle cell and you have people with trigeminal neuralgia and lupus and MS and arthritis, which is another one of my issues where the pain can be severe. I've broken out into a cold sweat because of pain. I have screamed. My family, they're very familiar with the pain that I have been in. So what do? How do you draw the line between someone who's going to the emergency room on BS and they're seriously in pain and versus someone such as myself or anybody else that have diseases where they are painful diseases and they can be very painful diseases and they're getting turned away. And this is even happening at pharmacies. I have a close friend of mine who had an incident where she went to go fill her medication because she was in some pain. The pharmacist wrote void all over her prescription, ripped it up, and called the police on her. Yes, that really happened. And it is scary where people are all being treated as if we're all common criminals just looking for a good time. I mean, this medication, I don't get high off of this crap. It makes me able to walk around my house. It makes me be able to be a mom. It makes me able to, and I'm trying not to get emotional, but it makes me able to live a life, some semblance of a life. And a lot of doctors are not understanding that. And I hope to God one day that they are not finding themselves in my position. And I hope that they have compassionate doctors, unlike to how they've been to me. So what I'm saying to you guys is, like that day, 3 days later, the doctors discharged me because they got tired of hearing me saying, okay, I would like something for pain. And I wasn't belligerent. I didn't act up. It was just I was requesting something for pain. They refused and discharged me in the middle of a lupus flare without medication, such as my prednisone. Didn't put me on a prednisone regimen, even though I was in a severe flare, and kicked me out the hospital like I was common garbage. What did I do? Went to Indiana State's Attorney and filed a complaint against their medical licenses. This isn't being vindictive. This means that I'm tired of getting kicked around by the medical community. I'm tired of their incompetence. And I'm just fed up. And to a person such as myself, who has severe medical problems, I don't deserve being treated that way. Nobody deserves being treated that way. And that's all I'm going to say about that matter, because it will possibly go into litigation for malpractice. And I'm telling you all out there, if your doctors are treating you in a way that you don't feel is right, or they're retaliating against you, or doing check your medical boards in whatever state that you live in and see what constitutes as a complaint and fight back. You don't have to take that kind of attitude. You don't have to take that kind of treatment just because somebody has a God complex with a white coat on. Okay? There are a lot of good doctors out there in the world, and I salute them, but the bad doctors totally overshadow them. And they make the medical profession look bad. And I'm telling you, if you're a doctor and you happen to be listening to this and watching this, I'm letting you know you need to start showing compassion for your patients. Start showing that you care. And pay attention to what your patient is trying to tell you. You're missing things. Medical malpractice is going up. Medical errors are astounding in this country. And you wonder why? It's because you're sending patients like me out into the street because you don't want to hear it or you don't want to deal with me, or you've already formed an opinion about me before you walked into my room. Therefore, you send people out there in the street. You send little old ladies out in the street and say, hey, they're not having a heart attack, and you call them GOMERs, which is an acronym for get out of my emergency room. And you send little old ladies home to die on their front porch from heart attacks because you don't want to deal with it. Hey, I know being a doctor, it has to be hard. That's why a lot of people aren't doctors. But if you are wearing that white coat, you have an oath to fill. You have an oath to hold up. And sending sick people out into the street is not holding that oath up. You don't deserve a medical license. You don't deserve to touch people and human beings. I know I'm sounding heated, and I'm getting heated right now because it is a humiliating experience. And to be pushed out in the street as if you're a nobody, as if you don't matter. Well, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to settle for it. Neither should you. Well, until then, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.